Welcome back. A lawsuit is resurfacing claims that Brian Laundrie's parents knew Gabby Petito was dead long before her remains were discovered.
It's another horrific turn in an already just terribly tragic story. Kristen Thorne has been following this since the beginning, and she has an update for us this morning. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. All right, guys, I want to bring you through how this all happened and how we got to today. All right, so in October, there were some depositions that were held between the Petitos and the Laundries. The Petitos are suing the Laundries for emotional distress, okay, alleging that they knew that Gabby had been killed and possibly where her body was. During those depositions in October, some interesting information came out that was interesting to the Petitos' lawyer, and they included it in this lawsuit, right? So it's the same lawsuit, just more information included. What we're learning is that on August 29th, Brian Laundrie called his parents what's being described as a frantic phone call, saying that Gabby was quote unquote gone. He hung up the phone. They weren't able to reach him until he came home to Northport, Florida a few days later. We later learned that on September 2nd, the attorney for the Laundries retained a law firm in a criminal defense firm in Wyoming, and had also been looking and contacting other lawyers in the Wyoming area around this time, right? So all this information came out during depositions. We're learning that on August 29th, Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie, Brian's parents, advised them that Gabby was gone and that he needed a lawyer. He said that to them as well. I want to draw you back, though. Some of this is not entirely a surprise. When I covered this case, that first weekend that police went to the Laundries' home in Northport, Florida, we knew that the Laundries had at the door a phone number for their lawyer. It was written on a piece of paper. So we knew right away, a reasonable person goes, you don't just have your lawyer's number, if you have one, written down, ready to go. So we already knew that. So some of this is not entirely surprising, right? There was a reason that the Laundries knew that they had to have their lawyer's number written down. Of course, when all this starts to come out in deposition, you start to put two and two together and you go, okay, this is why. In terms of this amended complaint, which now includes this information from the deposition, I spoke with Stephen Bertolino, the attorney for the Laundries. He would not comment on this, but he just said that his clients are going to be filing an answer to this coming up. Can I also share with you one more thing that's interesting? Later this month, the next step in this, December 20th, there is a hearing to try to force Stephen Bertolino to tell about his conversations with Brian when Brian got back.
Attorney-client privilege?
Thank you. So this is the point of the December 20th hearing. We know that Stephen Bertolino obviously spoke with his clients once the client was back in town. What they discussed has never been revealed. And because he has not been attorney-client privilege. So December 20th is sort of the next big step in this to try to figure out if Stephen Bertolino should be required to violate attorney-client privilege.
Can he be compelled to do that?
Well, a judge can compel. If there are reasonable arguments, a judge can compel. So that's where it's going to get interesting. Well, I don't know the precedent. I'm sure that there is. I'm sure that there's all sorts of precedent.
But ultimately, the point of this is the emotional distress that you mentioned.
Right. And look, I think that is certainly a lot of questions I have about what the Laundries knew specifically. We now know that they knew that something had happened to Gabby, that she was gone, and that their son needed a lawyer. Okay? That is now revealed in these depositions. The question is, what else? And that has sort of been the crux of this entire case, even during that time. You remember that time. It sort of was like, if they know something, let me say that, if they know something, we just don't know what they knew. And so that's why this is important. That's why the Petitos are really trying to figure this all out.
It's just sad all around. And this family's going to have to go through that heartache all over again.
Right. But words like malice and, I mean, the reckless disregard for their feelings and the case and
that's
justice.
That's what's all being discussed now.
Interesting.
Thank you so much.